Hey, folks, just a friendly reminder that all shows on the Madness Comic Network are produced by their individual hosts and in no way reflect the opinions of the network as a whole. The statements in the following broadcast are not necessarily the opinions of the Madness Comic Network, its staff, sponsors, or contributors. This show is rated TVMA, as are all of them and all those other letters. Viewer discretion is highly advised, and, just do what Doc says. Read that again. Peace, everybody.
Flip City Magazine is just really pulling out all the stops, man. Your guys' production value of this magazine has gone insane. I mean, look at that. I mean, I remember when you guys, it was black and white. Even when it was black and white, I thought your quality was great. But damn, they just really stepping it up a notch. Look at this. James Corbett, boys. James Corbett.
Genuinely cutting. But also funny, and obviously just chaotic and very fun.
I love Flip City. It has brought new types of badassery and integrity to the print medium.
The Madness Comic Network and comic-related madness proudly presents Madness Tuesday Morning Brew. Tune in to our content on Comic Talk with Pops Van Zandt on YouTube.
Oh, it's Tuesday. Good morning, everybody. How are you? Oh, here we are on the Tuesday morning brew. I hope you brought your coffee and your interest in comics, because that's what we're talking about today. I hope you all are staying cool. I'm here in Texas. It's like, well, it's not too bad right now. It's 86, but yesterday it was like 109. I don't know if you've been watching my social media. I actually posted a picture where I was in the car and I literally could not drive. I couldn't touch the steering wheel. It was too dang hot. It's just too dang hot here in August. So I'm on fire. And not in a good way, like running around with my hair on fire. That's how it goes. Let's see what's new this week. I am doing all sorts of things. I got my hands in a bunch of different pots, plates. There's spinning plates, whatever. You pick your euphemism. I'll go with it. So Path is still in production. Merch is coming in. I got an email from the Funko Pop lady that they're getting ready to box. So that means I'll have a picture of the brand new Funko Pop, Francis St. Clair, hopefully this week. So I pushed off my update. I usually update the Kickstarter backers every week, but I was waiting until I had something juicy. I'm also going on Thursday to do something I've been keeping under wraps, but I'll share pictures on Thursday after it all goes well. What else? Psycho Cell number 7 is in production. I'm excited about that. The story will continue with our favorite serial killer, Monster Man. Yeah, I'm writing scripts left and right. I got something going for Gemini Force with Terry Parr. He's well into that. And I just got pulled into Chihulu Invade. So I'm staying busy, guys. I'm staying busy. I want to give a few shout outs this morning to some Kickstarters. There's some things popping. Of course, my bestie Corissa Grant. She's got 3 days left, people. You need to hop on this one. As you can see, it's for issues 1 through 12. Y'all talk about my merch, but we have the same, I guess, mental disease, because she's the merch empress and I'm the merch queen. I don't know what you want to, yeah. We both have a problem with merch. So you can definitely go shopping on this one. But she has issues 1 through 12, which is crazy. So if you haven't heard of Corissa Grant, she started 2 years ago and has already released 12 issues, and she's well into the future. Like, she has printed the next hardcover book. I've already seen pictures of it. So just amazing drive. She's a beast. So if you want to go check out some campaigns, this one has 3 days left. Let me drop the link here for you. Let me grab it. I think I put it in the private chat. Yes, darlings. Good morning, everybody. Good morning, Carrie. Ghost Story, thanks for joining us from X. Here is the link. I dropped it in the chat everywhere. If you're on Twitter or X, feel free. You can just go to Kickstarter and search Worthy Chaos. She pops up 12 times. It's pretty cool. One more I'd like to give a shout out to is this one, The Fog Within 1 through 3. They just launched this morning, like an hour before the show. So, Sean, I wish you the best. Incredible book. I actually have these. I'll zoom in on myself. I am biggin'. Here we go. So I have issues 1 and 2. It's a great story. It's a great story. And of course, he leaves you hanging. So I know there is a catch-up tier on this. There's got to be. So he has some amazing work. So please go check out. This one is, I haven't had a chance to go through these. Dang, Sean, you went ham. Spoiler panel. Oh, he can't show you that. So there's lots of good stuff. I'm going to be checking this one out and going shopping later. So I'm going to drop the link as well. Boo-doo, boo-boo. There are peoples. They're all over. We're streaming to 8 different locations right now. So there's people on Facebook. There's people on Twitch, Twitter, YouTube. So they're all over the place. But yeah, Twitter is kind of weird. Like, people have to actually click into the video. A lot of people can just watch it without actually clicking on it. But if you click into it, that's how you access the comments. So Ghost, you're in the right place. Everybody else needs an adult. They need an adult. So, all right. So, my friends, I have a great guest today. I'm gonna bring him in as soon as I see him pop back on screen. But we are gonna talk some comics. He's writer creator. And I have a lot of questions for him because even though we kind of move in the same circles, we haven't really crossed paths before. So I want to introduce everybody to Mr. Michael Oden. Good morning. How are you? Hello, Michael. You
That
are.
awkward moment where you're accidentally muted.
It always happens that way, right? Where you're like, here I am, here's Michael. Effed it up. Good morning. How are you?
Oh, you know, Ben, it's been an exciting day already. You know, always good to start Tuesdays with craziness.
You know. I mean, I don't
Anyways.
know. Mondays are usually the crazy days, but Tuesdays sometimes they're just as bad. For me, it don't calm down until Wednesday afternoon. Like I run straight.
I mean, that's how it's supposed to go, right? Like Wednesday's hump day. That's like this is the zenith of the week. Everything's all downhill from here, right?
You would hope so. I don't know. I don't think it happens that way all the time. So where are you located? Are you in the South like I am, where we're all on fire at this point, or where are you at?
Kind of. Like, so it depends on who you ask. If you ask someone from the North, yes, I'm from the South because I'm from like Northern Virginia.
Oh.
If you ask somebody that's from like
South,
anywhere beneath like Manassas,
actual South.
There you go. So you see, like
you're somewhere like in the middle
for you guys. Yeah,
you just don't fit in anywhere. Bummer. You're like south of places. Yes, I am.
Yeah, I mean, we are technically below the Mason-Dixon line. So
yeah, okay.
Like in that aspect, yes, I am in the South. But like, if you tell anybody from like North Carolina, South Carolina, Georgia, Florida, they're like, "Oh, I'm from Virginia." Like that doesn't count.
They're like, "Oh, from that northern state."
Yeah,
like it's a thing, you know. Like, come on, people. So, are you hot like we are? I mean, it's August; it's hot everywhere.
Today.
But
today is gorgeous. Today is like I woke up this morning and it was like 60 some odd degrees.
Nice.
Yeah, it's there's like a nice breeze out there. It's a pretty swanky day. A little bit of an overcast, but like really nice day.
I take it. That's great.
Yeah.
We won't see
it certainly hasn't been that most of the summer. Like we live in irrigated swamp, so it's just been miserable. So
yeah, we won't see 60s probably until October. So
maybe we'll see. You might get it earlier. You never know. Don't count yourself out.
I would really like to see a 60 day. That would be great. I can go actually walk my dog outside. He's bored. When you go outside in the morning and it's already 89, it's like poor doggo, and he's furry. He's like a mop. So he's just so uncomfortable. Poor guy. So he runs around the backyard for like 3 minutes and he's done. So, Michael, we always start the show with the origin story. So I want to hear, let's go all the way back to the beginning, because a lot of people have been in comics for a while, but take us back to when you first started reading or enjoying or writing, like, and then how did you get into all this craziness? Tell us.
All right. So growing up, you know, I had two older brothers that got me into comics and everything like that. And so that's kind of where things started. But I would say my professional career with comics and what have you actually started back when I was deployed in, I want to say 2016, 2017 timeframe.
Yeah.
Where on like my free time, I was writing a lot for this industry blog site called Movie Pilot.
Oh.
And like, so like Movie Pilot used to be a thing where like anybody could go and create a Movie Pilot account and write articles, but like they also had like a verified creator program and everything like that. And so at one point I had written this review on the second issue of Superman Rebirth by Peter J. Tomasi.
Okay.
And it got noticed by Movie Pilot, and they did some tweaks to the formatting and posted it all over everything. And then they brought me into their verified creator program. And so that started like my foray into industry journalism, which I did as a freelance person for about 5 or 6 years. I worked with Movie Pilot until they kind of shut down. I did like 2-3 weeks with Heroic Hollywood, which was miserable.
Really?
Oh man. So like the way I'm in and you're at like the bottom rung, like it's literally just you work in like these 3-hour shifts where you have an editor and that you're supposed to be like reporting stuff to. And you're supposed to do 1 article per hour or like per half hour. And it's literally just, they have like a Facebook page where they have all these other news sites posting up information. And so you're literally just grabbing whatever story interests you and regurgitating the same information. And that's what you're supposed to be doing. This is like, it was the most uninspired writing that I had done in my career.
Yeah, I could see that.
I worked there for about like 2, maybe 3 weeks. My son had been born shortly before that. And I was just like, no, I can't.
Nope.
No.
None of this works.
This is not okay.
Especially with a newborn.
And then, I had started up my own blog for a while, and then I got brought into a site called Up Your Geek, where I worked for a while, doing a lot of op-ed stuff and occasional reviews on things. And like the big thing throughout all of this that was consistent is the people that were reading my stuff were like, these are all like really good points and this, that, the other, but why aren't you doing your own stories? Because it seems like you got a good handle.
See, that's the thing. A lot of writers who can I don't want to say consume, but they enjoy other medium and they can make valid points about plot, or they can see things, you know what I mean? Like put the pieces together. Those are the minds that we're like, why aren't you writing? Because we're reading all this terrible stuff, or we're consuming all these tropes and regurgitation. And it's like, do something new, right?
100%. And like, that's like that was the whole thing. It was just like, there was just there was just a lot of like around this time was like when you had the Batman versus Superman and the theatrical cut of Justice League and all this other stuff. And so there was like a lot to talk about in the comic book genre, because there was all this discussion, all this discourse due to its heavy prevalence in the zeitgeist, right?
Yeah.
Like you had comic book films where were bringing in money, but there was also the discussion of, hey, is this being done the right way? What's the deal? X, Y, Z. So but every single time I'd ask this, well, it's not that simple, right? Because like when it comes down to it, getting into writing for any of the big companies, DC and Marvel accept no unsolicited pitches from writers whatsoever.
Right.
And then like Image, Dark Horse, and all of these other ones that are like and I put this in the largest asterisk possible, independent imprints from the mainstream. All of those guys, for a writer's submission, you can't just send them a script and a log line or anything like that.
No, you need completed.
A minimum of 6 fully lettered pages of sequential art and a cover.
Glenn.
Like
Morning,
so,
Glenn.
like at that point, why aren't you just making why
making it yourself? I mean, you are basically making it yourself at that point and just submitting it to those guys to be like, hey, look,
like
what
all
I've
they're
done.
doing is effectively reaping profit off of your investment.
Yes, and hopefully, the hope is that they would help expand your fan base.
I mean, yes, no, like you would get worldwide distribution,
Right.
you get actual marketing and everything like that, and like you get a trade dress. You get like the image trade dress on there, and you get the like they're absolute, and it's not to
There's
say that they're all
benefits. It's just
independent,
that,
but
in my opinion, it's just like it's so hard to get seen because you and me and 800 other people are submitting to Image every day.
yeah,
So
100%.
like,
So
what
it's
sets you
one of these
apart?
things where it's like, all right,
And also the
well,
thing is that if you change out your team, you got to resubmit.
yeah,
So
and
your color has changed, you got to do it again.
no kid, like, and like that's the whole thing. Is it's just it's difficult.
So hard.
And most of these companies, like, you can send in those 6 pages, but realistically they want you to have at least one book of it done. Like,
And that's what I think, because I was talking about this with Path too, because I was like, what is it about Path that's holding us back? It's the fact that my book is 12 issues, I think, because we're up to 5, but once we get to like 10, you know what I mean? It's a much easier buy-in for a big company like that when most of it's done. You know what I mean?
I honestly, the thing that frustrates me the most about this is it's like that massive barrier to entry is keeping out people with genuinely good ideas and genuine talent. And there's no good way to get into the industry. I remember when I was a kid, Marvel, DC, all of these companies would have like annual fan submission contests. Right?
Really?
Yeah.
This is
Marvel
before my
and
time. I'm
like
a noob when it comes to comics.
Like all of these companies used to have ways for fans to submit stories and do this, that. This is how Jeff Johns got discovered. Like, Jeff Johns wrote in at one point when he was like a teenager about, wouldn't it be cool if if the other half of Superboy's DNA was Lex Luthor? And that's how this guy got discovered. The fact that we have created this massive barrier to entry, and don't get me wrong, like, it's one of these things where, like, I can understand it from one hand. Like, you got they're obviously trying to protect themselves from a legal standpoint, but like, for every good pitch, there's probably like 20 or 30 that are just not
right.
And I mean, that's like, one of the things we see in the indie scene is, especially over the past 5 years, there's been an influx of independent creator content. And yeah, there's good stuff, but like, a lot of it is not there. And that's ultimately what it comes down to. Is it's like, I understand it in one way. It's just it is very difficult from a writer's standpoint. But to bring it back to how this got me into the industry was in 2020, I was going through a separation. And so
gosh,
on
top of everything else.
Yeah. And so I decided, this, like, having this as a creative outlet was like a positive thing. And so I did my first book, Elysian Fields. And at that time we were getting like the pandemic checks and everything. So I was able to realistically subsidize the production of my book without having to dip into what I needed for my like bills and what have you. And that's when I did my first book. I crowdfunded Elysian Fields issue 0. We raised just shy of 10K and had over 300 backers.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So like that's how I got
huge for an issue 0.
And like that's how I got started. It was like, this is then I did my second book and it did not do nearly as well, and I lost money.
What do you think is the reasoning behind that? Why such big success on the first one, and then what happened? I don't know. Like, that's the thing that boggles my mind.
It ultimately comes down to A, marketing, and B, there's a sweet spot that you have to hit between the release of one issue to the next in the indie community, because you got to allow people. So like I don't know. I haven't figured it out yet. So
damn it! I thought we were gonna hear it today, people. On
no,
the show.
I wish.
What's the answer?
But like let me tell you. So like I was able to get my first book out within 2, max 3 months of when our campaign ended.
That's quick.
We were ahead of schedule by a lot, and that impressed people. And then we were in the green pretty substantially on the first book. So I took that money and invested it right into the second book, and had pretty much almost all of the art paid for the second book going in. And so like we did that campaign. It still made like $8,000, but like I had paid for a lot of I had known nothing when I did the first campaign. So I paid for 3 or 4 variant covers that were they were not cheap.
Right.
And
That's how they get you, man.
It was I thought, oh well, if I have these people, this will help with the promotion and this, that, the other. But the people that had gotten the first book, a lot of them hadn't even realized the second book was live.
What?
Yeah. Hey, what's up, Will? Good chatting to you last night.
Troublemaker in the chat. Troublemaker in the chat, everybody.
So I just was at this whole point where I was just I didn't know what to do.
Keep going.
There was a very large part of me that almost left. I was just I can't afford to keep doing that.
I understand that. I 100% understand that, because between my first Kickstarter and my second Kickstarter, I did the same thing. I had invested. I did a choose your own adventure book that cost me out of pocket. And I was like, we'll do more this time than we did last time. And we did not. It wasn't that much of a difference, but there wasn't that growth that I was hoping for. And so it's I miscalculated. You know what I mean?
We technically made about the same. I think I brought in around $8,000, but I did so with a much more expensive book. And it was I want to say we didn't even have 200 backers on the second book. So it's just it was one of those things where I was like, do I even do this anymore? And that's when around that time is when I had the idea for The Embrace. And then I was like, all right, well, we'll do a swing for the fence. I really had a lot of belief in that story, and we did very well. We raised over $15,000 and got the book out to, I'll say 10 countries outside the US. We had customers in.
Yeah.
It was crazy. And so that kind of revitalized me for a bit. And in between that time to now, where I'm doing The Embrace 2, I did a joke parody manga called SPQR's Bizarre Adventure, where I took JoJo and injected Roman history into it. And then I teamed up with Global Frequency Studios and did a book called Judex, which was kind of, very shadow-esque and noir and everything like that. And then now we're here for The Embrace 2. And so this is the second chapter of my little dark superhero story that's really just kind of taken the world by storm a bit.
Yeah, tell us about this one. Here's the link, everybody, to the Indiegogo. So if you want to shop around with me, I have it up on my screen, but you guys can all check it out for yourselves there. Give it a
100%. So when it comes down to The Embrace, the base story is you have this father, Clarence Griffin, who is grieving the loss of his son. It's been a year since his son's murder. There haven't been any leads on the investigation. And so the Alexandria Police Department has been forced to close the case. And so in this act of desperation, Clarence is about to take his own life when the ghost of his son, David, shows up. and they come together and embrace. And in this moment, Clarence receives a vision of what really happened that night through his son's eyes. And so he gets to see the people that were responsible. And when he comes to, he is in this super suit powered by his son's ghost. And so together, they are the spectral hero, the Embrace, and they're going after David's killers to bring them to justice. And so this story really explores themes of, loss and fatherhood, and really juggling the dynamic between justice and vengeance, right?
Yes.
And these are the things that really drive the story. And the end of the first book, you kind of end on a bit of an upbeat note, but like Clarence still has a lot of work to do to process everything that's happened. And so, as per the stages of grief, he's kind of in the anger stage, and that's really where we see a lot of stuff going here in the second book of The Embrace. Is, when he's with David, everything's all good, but like the moment things start to agitate him a little bit, he starts to kind of unwind himself a bit and become a little bit unhinged. So
I could see why, and I can see why. You know what I mean? Having gone through a horrific loss of a child, and wanting to have answers and wanting to have vengeance, and how it ripped his life apart, and to have David in his head. This is one that, by the way, I got to read a section of this. Michael sent me this, and I really enjoyed it. It goes into some really interesting themes, and like the whole relationship between the two, and when he becomes unhinged and the child kind of pulls him back. That's the dynamic of the two of them, their conscious being shared when they're a superhero, is really interesting. It's almost like much nicer Venom.
Yeah. Well, I think that's a good way. Well, and that was one of the things that I think really separates this, because when I did the first book, it was like, if you're a fan of James O'Barr's The Crow and Todd McFarlane and Robert Kirkman's Haunt, right? Like you'll love this book. But I think that the big thing that kind of separates The Embrace from those is like those books are kind of written from a nihilistic worldview, right?
Yes.
David is an 8-year-old kid that had loving parents that was taken away too early. And the only reason he's back is because he sees how much pain his dad is in and is trying to help. So like they're like at the end of the day, David's not there so that Clarence can have the power to go kill all these people. It's like, no, he's there to help save his dad.
Give him some closure.
And preserve the person he was, while also giving him the closure that he very desperately needs to move on.
This is such an interesting cover to me. Dean James' first cover was an homage to Death in the Family. So for this book, Dean went with a completely original composition, and boy, did it pay off. The Embrace 2 has over 50 pages. Wow, that's a big book of action-packed, intense, and emotional storytelling that you don't want to miss. Death in a Family. Yeah, I mean, like we've all had to experience death, I would think, and of course it pulls on our heartstrings to see.
100%. And then for this second cover, as I said, Dean did like a completely original composition, and we've got our big bad Strangle there, and as you can see, this doesn't go well for the Embrace, and it's not going to go particularly well for him in the book, because, well, a hero is only as good as their villain or obstacle that they have to go up against, and it wouldn't make any sense if the Embrace just showed up and was able to rock this guy. So he's going to get tussled a bit. He's not ready for this.
It would be boring if he just immediately beat everybody. Ooh, look at this.
Correct.
Right.
So this is our B variant by Irene Stachowski and Ivan Pineda. Or Ivan Pineda, I apologize.
She brings her expertise in drawing beasties. Love it.
Yeah.
Look at the
She has a
color.
fantastic book called Fiendish that she writes and draws, and like her big thing is like drawing monsters and everything like that.
Very cool. Yeah, the color on this definitely pops. The purple and orange and green
Mhm.
definitely stands out. Beautiful. Are these gonna have what do they call them? Virgin cover and dress cover?
So like there will be some of them that have that are virgin. There'll be some of them that'll be dressed.
Okay.
I just have the art on display. Now, what I will say is we crossed our second stretch goal, so this book will
Woohoo.
be will have a lava holofoil pattern.
What is that?
Oh
What's a
man!
lava hollow foil?
So holofoil is a type of like cover treatment, and
Right,
like
I know that, but
the
lava?
lava is like a type is one of the holofoil patterns, and so
Oh,
like
okay.
it kind of makes like an oozing thing across the cover like lava, and it I think that it will do very well with that color scheme
Yeah.
that Rini's got. It's going to be great, and that's the other really fun thing we're doing is, you know, crowdfunding's been going on here for the past 5 years or so. Everybody's got like short boxes and long boxes filled with tchotchkes from
Yes.
campaigns.
Yes.
So rather than doing tchotchkes as our stretch goals, we're investing them into the covers. So like we crossed 7,500, which is our second stretch goal, which turned that into a, you know, that lava holofoil. The first stretch goal that we hit was at I think 4,500, and it turned Dean James's cover into UV spot gloss treatment.
Ooh.
Yeah. And so then the next one is, I believe, at 9K, and that turns this cover by Ira Macias and Avery Ferdinand into a silver metallic holofoil.
Cool. That's cool. That's a great idea. Yeah, I know. I'm with you on that. I'm like, how many bookmarks do you guys want?
It's
Like, you want more
one of these
bookmarks?
things where it's like they're nice. They were nice and cool things initially, and it was like a way to, you know, get people amped up. Where I was like, oh yeah, we cross this next stretch goal, we get this extra thing. But like now everybody's got like long boxes and desk drawers filled with the stuff, and it's like, all right, like I have more indie trading cards than I will ever have a need for in my life.
Yeah.
And it's a cool thing. And so that's why, like, for people who want those cool little extras and stuff like that, in my collector's box, you get all that stuff. You get like a mini print gallery, you get a t-shirt, you get Embrace standee, you get the Embrace sticky hand, you get all the covers of the book, you get the first book. Like that's where it's like, if you want all of that stuff, it's there. But like otherwise, I feel like most people are more than content with just having the book, and you make it as premium of an experience for your campaign backers as possible.
That's cool. Yeah, I like that. Might be stealing that. Just saying.
I think that it's a solid thing. And like,
Yeah.
you know, the other big thing is so like we've got, I think 20 days left on the Indiegogo, but we'll also be doing a Fund My Comic and a Kickstarter. And so
Okay.
all of the stretch goals that have been unlocked will apply immediately onto those follow-up campaigns.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's
And
always a bonus too, so those people don't miss out on
correct.
what's already
But then
been unlocked.
on
It's
top of
communal.
that, if we like, let's say we only get to like the 9, let's say when we close up, we pass the 9K and we get to like 10, but we don't get to quite 12, which is where our final stretch goal is on this campaign. Well, let's say we bring in another like 2-3 grand on the Fund My Comic. Well, now that stretch
Now
goal
that breaks
gets
it.
unlocked.
Yeah. So then
You know,
retroactively
so-
you go back and you upgrade all those too.
Correct.
Nice. That's a good way to do it. What is this? Is a Spider-Man homage, yes?
We definitely wanted to give some Spider-Man energy to it. I don't think it's an homage to a specific cover or anything, but like Ira Macias did some brilliant work on Spider-Man last time. And so when I showed him the Embrace and everything like that, I was like, oh man, this is effectively Spider-Man, but with ghosts. And I was just like,
Kind
not
of, yeah.
wrong.
It's like,
And he
yeah,
just
it kind
went,
of falls into that category. Yeah.
so he just went, I got this.
Hmm.
And I mean, it's fantastic. It's a great cover.
Yeah, it is.
Very strong, lots of energy, and it's great.
Yeah, the lines in it are great. It really moves the eye around the whole piece. Very nice. Oh, another cover. How many covers you got, man?
4.
That's amazing. All right, so here's the last one. Ooh, this one will be pretty. What kind of foil treatment is this one going to get?
So this will be at our 12K. It'll get a rainbow foil.
You absolutely. That'd be really cool.
Like, so that is currently the plan, is to, you know, have that be the rainbow foil version of that, and it'll be good. Like,
This is
of course it'll be good.
I'm just reading this. It's so funny. Michael Bancroft hates drawing hands, so naturally wanted him to get to draw the superhero that has the most hands possible. I was like, oh yeah, look, it's like 17 hands in this cover.
Oh,
Wait,
there's
three,
way more than that. We
4,
got him. We
5,
got him
6,
over his
7,
hand
8,
now.
9, 10.
Like
A lot of hands.
So like another fun bit about this cover is when Michael Bancroft did his first Illucent, there was like a panel where he had this hand that looked like a ginger root that like became a massive running joke. And so I told him that I wanted him to put the ginger root hand in the cover and hide it like a Where's Waldo reference.
Yeah, I'm looking for it.
The ginger root hand is there.
I'll have to find it. I love a challenge. We'll have to find it later. See if you can spot the hidden ginger root hand. That's amazing. Beautiful.
But yeah,
beautiful cover.
it's pretty great. Like
his feet have fingers. What's up?
Yeah,
with that?
also like the hand. There are hands that are at like the bottom of the feet that are wrapped and protecting the feet too.
It's funny. Chad Perkins, there's your feet. There you go. Ooh, glow in the dark.
Yeah. So
yeah, I was like, how many covers you have? You still got more covers.
Well, so I have 4 main covers in it. I guess I forgot. So we have this limited edition version of the book with a glow in the dark cover by Shelby Robertson. So these will be signed and numbered. And the other cool thing with this is the cheapest that this cover will be. So like we are only doing a max 50 of these.
Mm-hmm.
And so as each right now it's $50 to get this, and it's signed and number, everything like that. However, we've already sold over 10 of these. So when we go to Fund My Comic, that price will go up to like, well, you know, probably around 65. And then, you know, if we sell more of them, when we sell more of them there, it's not really an if, it's a when.
Yeah.
You know, like when we sell more of them, then it will go up again when we go to Kickstarter, and could be anywhere between like 75 and 80 left, 80, depending on how many are left.
Wow. Black and white cover style that serves as the cover for a special edition. However, glow in the dark haunted edition. Beautiful. That's just gorgeous.
Yeah, it's fantastic. I can't wait to see that in like the glow in the dark treatment.
Yeah.
It's gonna be beautiful.
Ooh, okay. So now we're into the tiers. Let's go shopping. So we have cover A, cover B, and cover C.
I need to update these graphics because we have another tier that we have like 3 more tiers that we listed here at the end of our first 30 days. So I need to go.
Don't you hate that?
This
one, the cover
but
D.
like the first tier that we added is like for $10 you can get the Elysian Fields Reborn preview book, which I actually have right here.
Oh wait. In Biggin. Ooh.
In Biggin, yes. So this is the reboot of my first series, Elysian Fields, and we've got like a completely new art team, completely new script.
Wow.
So
that one's beautiful too. What? Look at that, everybody! Oh my god, incredible.
Yeah, it's a very pretty book, and so you get this. This is 12 pages of story. It's 8.5 by 11 prestige format. you get it for $10 with no additional shipping in the United States. It is worked into your price.
Dang.
If you're international, I'm sorry, I had to add on an additional $8.
Yeah. International shipping sucks, man.
Like,
I
effectively, it's like $4 or $5 for the book, and then like $5 for the shipping of it. Is what I have it set for.
Isn't that crazy? So, it's like cost you more to ship it than it's cost to purchase it.
Yeah, but like that's the thing is, in order to ship it internationally, I have to add on that because it's like it's going to be $15.
Well, yeah, and it's like I feel bad because there's VATs and you know what I mean, depending on where it's going. And you just hear horror stories. Like someone was like, I tried to ship something overseas and it got lost. You know, and then
that's why it's like it's important to go and I honestly, for overseas shipping, it's one of those things where it's better to use one of the private shipping companies that over USPS. That's where it's like it's probably going to be worth you spending the extra cash, so that way you have,
you know what though,
better tracking.
I had a large one of my higher tier backers who got a ton of stuff, so it was a big box, and UPS shipped it, and he never got it. Like he said, they claimed that it was delivered to the right place. He has a Ring camera, and he was like, when they say they delivered it, they weren't even here. And it took me about 3 or 4 tries talking with them. And eventually what happened is it went to his neighbor that was like a street over, and their street numbers were similar. It was like his was like 3841 and hers was 3481 or something like that. You know what I mean? So she brought it to him. So they never solved it, and then closed the case 3 times because they claimed that they were right. And I was like, my guy still doesn't have his stuff. You can't close the case.
You can't just say, well, we've done everything on our end. It's like, no, you either need to get him his stuff or you need to reimburse him. Because you lost his
reimburse
stuff.
Me because I gotta send him all new stuff. Like,
yeah, well, I mean, either one or the other,
right?
Because at the end of the day, if he's just like, you know what, I just want my money back, that shouldn't be on you because it's not your fault. It's like at the end of the day, you lost his stuff. You are responsible.
Yeah. So I mean, sometimes even those private ones are like, sorry, there's no way for us to figure it out. And I'm like, then what is the point of tracking?
I insure, if I have
it was insured too.
I will definitely insure it. So that way it's like, he doesn't have it. I don't care what you say, you're reimbursing me for this package.
So now with him, because I know for whatever reason, his address is the problem, I always send his stuff. He has to sign for it. So they have to go to the door, ring the door, and have someone sign for it.
Such a pain.
It is a pain,
I had a package come like that here a couple days ago where I didn't realize it needed to be signed for. It's such a pain in the butt.
It is.
Why would anyone ever make this a stipulation?
That's the only reason why, is because otherwise they're going to leave it on some random person's porch instead of his porch.
Jeez.
So he's the only one. I make sure. Well, the other thing is that it was one of those custom-made Funko Pops. Custom-made Funko Pops. If that's lost, it's gonna take me months to make another one.
I wonder how much those are to do. How much are they to do the customs?
Hey Keith. It depends on the Funko. They're about $100 to make.
Oh wow.
Just
that's
to make
a lot for a Funko Pop.
Yeah. Well, they custom make it to everything I can in my comic they wear special technology. That's not something that Funko could just produce. It's not like a hat or a gun. It's this is what they're wearing. It's weird sci-fi technology in a Western. You know what I mean? There's no way Funko could handle it. So I have them custom made. And they do anything I want, custom made wounds. We have an undead bear where they put the wounds of the bear from the comic.
I am well aware of the undead bear.
Yeah, man.
Mean.
He's
awesome.
I read
that first issue. He's great, but the horse.
Sorry.
How dare you?
Yeah. Well, hold on to your hat because we're going into issue 5 and we're going to have some more death, dying, destruction. So I got my cup ready for when people come for me. This one. Here, I'll blow myself up. So I drink the tears of my readers, Michael.
Oh yes.
Oh yeah.
I mean that's what a writer must do. It's funny because like when I turned in the script for the Embrace 2 to my artist and my editor for its like first pass, Dean, my artist, read it and it was like, "This is fantastic. It is better than the first book in like every single way. Everyone is going to hate you at the end."
Yep, that's me.
I was like, good, I'm doing my job.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I want you to feel feelings. And if that feeling is hatred towards myself because I've killed off the character that you have now fallen in love with, well, that means I've written it well, that you now have feelings. So,
correct.
Yeah, that's where I live. So, all right, back to it, guys. Ooh, the Embrace Collector's Box. Look at this thing.
Yeah, so that's got a piece by Shimhack, who is this amazing digital painter that kind of blew up about 2 years ago because he was doing these Dark Souls and Elden Ring pieces and Berserk pieces. And I loved his style. Here, I'm going to pull up the actual piece so that way we can get like a good look at it. But so this is what the, I'm going to share screen.
Do that. There we go. Oh, that's gorgeous.
Yeah,
so many hands.
Of course, you have to have all the hands.
It's called the Embrace. We need hands.
Well, like the other big thing was when I was talking with Dean and we were doing the design of the character, the hands were like a very important motif because they're supposed to represent the hands of, Clarence's son reaching up and trying to protect him.
Yeah.
So
also very handy. I could really use 4 more hands. I would appreciate that.
You can get 4 more hands because if you look at that perk tier list, you will see that we have an Embrace plushie.
Wait, we passed over that, but I want to show you. Look at this, guys. I can't zoom in, but there is a plushie. It's so cute. He has a sign that says "Leave the home."
Can you bring one of the Embrace plushies?
That's amazing. Did Corissa Grant?
I'm putting my kid to work.
Yeah. Bring me one of those.
I'll bring out the plush so people can see. He's 18 inches. He is not small.
He's big. He's
a big plush.
Like
and there are only a select few of them left. I think that there are under 10 left at this point because we've had a bunch purchased on this campaign.
I believe it.
Which was nice because when I initially ordered them, nobody bought them. And it was very frustrating because people were like, I want the plushie. The plushie looks adorable. And then nobody got them. And I was just
you
like,
hate that? That's a
joking.
meme right there where people are like, you should do this. And you're like, because you'll buy it, right?
Yeah.
Because you'll buy, right?
Here we go.
Ooh, look at him. Yeah, he's got all the extra hands. That's amazing.
He's got all the hands for all the hugs and all the high fives.
Amazing. So cute.
He's your emotional support Embrace.
I tell you, man, plushies are a thing.
Oh, they are. And I am just glad that I'm finally going to be getting rid of all of them. It seems they are very cute. I love them. I'm so glad that they turned out as well as they did. It was so much more expensive than I was expecting.
Yeah.
Because they gave me the initial quote, and then on the back end, I was like, "Oh, by the way, you need to pay for this, this material test to ensure that there's like no hazardous materials because of like U.S. toys, toy standards or what have you." And that was another like $600.
Oh my god!
Yeah, and I was just like, you couldn't have told me this up front.
Oh, they totally ripped you off. 100%. Like that's just I was dealing with Funko people like that. Hey, Pops, what's up,
Pops
man?
knows who I am.
Hey.
He's facetious.
And so same thing. Like I was getting quotes, and they were like, "It's like $60," and I'm like, "That's super reasonable." And then I was like, "What's the next step to go forward?" And they were like, "Oh, and by the way, there's a design fee. Oh, by the way, there's this." Oh, by the way, and so they did it like twice, and I was like, thank you. I'm gonna take my design and go elsewhere. You know, I was like, you raise your price on me twice. Shame on me for continuing, because what's gonna stop them from doing it again? $600. Ouch. I know
Yeah.
your phone's ringing. I'm filling time.
No, it's all good. Just answering a quick question.
Look, people, there's pages penciled and inked on 11 by 17 for purchase, $250. That's a great price. Is it all pages, or is it specific pages that you're willing to part with? Or?
Dean does all of his pages. He does his pencils
Traditional?
digitally, and then he inks traditionally.
Oh my
So
goodness.
every single page will be up on this campaign as it sells.
Wow.
So far, we have sold 2 of the pages. It blows my mind that this
It's
2-page, this 2-page spread of the Embrace crashing through with the car has not sold yet.
I mean, I can see why. I mean, not that it hasn't. I can see why you're astounded. I'm astounded too. It's just it's a higher price point, but oh my God, is it gorgeous?
Higher price point, but I mean, look at that.
Look
thing.
at it.
We had people saying you're underselling that. I was like, we might be, but I want to make sure that this moves, because this is this is this kind of piece that you pay for.
Yeah.
Like this is very much worth the $500.
Absolutely.
It's 2 11 by 17s on Bristol, traditionally penciled and inked, and it's just drop dead gorgeous.
Yes, it is. You put that in a frame and you put it on your wall, people. That's what you do. Oof. 11 by 17 traditional lines and colors.
This cover has sold, as well as the Shelby Robertson. Both.
Gotcha. But these are the originals. Good Lord.
Yes.
Good snag, people. Bravo to you.
Yes,
Stretch goals. So we have unlocked a couple of these. Wait, where are you at? Let's scroll all the way back up to the top. We're at 75.
Is that accurate? I thought we got another backer last night.
Let me refresh. Sometimes it makes a refresh.
Yeah, we're at 7,566.
Yeah, sometimes it just needs a refresh. 102 backers, 22 days left. Amazing. That's a ton of time, and this is just gonna take off. So we've unlocked 2 stretch goals. Let's scrolly. Sorry, I scroll fast, everybody.
It's all good. And I mean, as I said, I do genuinely believe that by the time we close out the campaign, we'll probably be, I do think we'll absolutely cross the 300% stretch goal, but I do think we might even hit the 12K. That's where we wrapped up. When we wrapped up our 60 days on Indiegogo on the first book, we were at 12,260.
All right. There we go. That's what we're shooting for. Good morning, George Medina. How are you, sir? Hope you're well. Traveling around New York. Very cool. Yeah. All right. So this is what we were talking about with those stretch goals, is that the stretch goals are all upgrades to covers, which is amazing. The only problem with that is that, you guys really got to push, because let's say you got cover D, you don't get upgraded until 12,000. So you got to share that around, people. That's the answer to that.
Yep.
Take the little old link, share it around on your own socials, and say,
once we get there,
I want this upgraded rainbow foil.
Yes, everyone wants it.
Mm-hmm.
It's what we want.
Super cool.
There's lots of things to do.
These are really cool covers, everybody. And this is Indiegogo. So again, it's a flexible goal. This is it's gonna happen. They're already funded, and it's not gonna, you know what I mean? So you're guaranteed this book. I would play the video, but it already told me that the sound wasn't working because StreamYard hates me. So
what?
Yeah, watch. I'll play it, and there's no sound.
Do you have the audio share thing on?
Oh yeah. Yeah, it does this weird thing where it puts up an error message that says, "Uh-oh." And it's like, if you want the audio to work, sign off and sign back on again. Turn it off and turn it back on again. And I'm like, can't do that midstream, guys. So, I mean, I could play it, but I'm the only one that can hear the music. Oh, okay. Pop says he'll come in and play it. How? Oh, you're gonna try with your audio. Yeah. Do that. Because I'm telling you, this is like the worst where someone has a super cool video and I'm like jamming out to the music and everybody's looking at me like I'm crazy.
The fun story about the music on this was like I used Good Stuff, who is like a guy that's coming up and doing comic trailer, indie comic trailers. Super affordable, by the way. That trailer was like right around $100.
That's insane.
Yes. So like it very affordable, highly recommend. But like we were talking about the music options, and like I told him that I had used Silent Hill's theme of Laura for some promotional posts on social. And so I was like, it's something along those lines. Like I want something that's got like that's got energy to it, but there's like hints of somberness and horror in it.
Let's play it.
Yeah, let's do it.
Let's do it. Super cool. That's what I meant to say, and I muted myself. Hey.
Hey, it happens. It happens to the best of us.
It happens. Here's the link, everybody. Again, oh, I lost my screen. Share screen. Do 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 do. Where'd it go? Here we go. All right. Push all the buttons. That's what I'm telling you. All right. And I'm still pushing all. There we go.
There we did. We'll
get there eventually. We'll get there eventually, right? So yes, this is it, guys. Here's the link, and what Crown would say, right? You know what Crown would say? Chicken nuggets. That's not it.
Fair enough.
Crown would say this.
Just back it already.
Yeah, that one. I would say, why haven't you backed this already? Go shop around. There's some Dean James sketch commission. Is there anything else that we haven't?
So these are two. Those are the two other tiers that we had added on there that I didn't have on this thing. So these are kind of misnamed, but character limits are what they are. So they are fully traditionally inked 11x17 commissions by Dean James. Wow. So the first one is you get to have the Embrace drawn, and it's like however you want the Embrace pose or what have you, like Dean will do that. And then the other one is a straight up, you just let Dean know what you want on the commission and he does it.
That's cool. Embrace Spidey page. Here's some of the pages. Strangle Victorious page. Ooh.
Yep.
What's this GITD Dean James?
So this was a leftover from our Kickstarter campaign. I guess I need to put up a graphic for that as well. But this is a I think it's on an A4 and it's fully colored and painted, but Dean also added in glow in the dark paint. So this piece
glow in the dark. I was like,
Yeah.
what does TITD stand for? Is that Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles? What are we talking about here? Glow in the dark, everybody.
My
Super
kid
cool.
was informing me about something that happened in the show he was watching.
Oh no. I know.
Important things.
They get so invested. I hear you. My kids are watching One Piece. I don't know how far they are into it, but they're always like, and then this person and that person. I'm like, that's great. I have no idea
That's
what we're
great for
talking
you.
about.
I'm happy for you.
Yes. Catch up to your $40, everybody. If you want to get caught
Yep.
up here. Here we
And
go.
another cool thing about that is the edition of the first book that you get with that is the Joel Gomez cover. And so $5 of that goes to the Virginia Victims Assistance Network to help out with their homicide survivor support groups.
Aw. So real life Clarence.
Yes.
Mhm.
That was like one of the big inspiration. So like, The Embrace was born out of me having to go through like a custody fight and everything like that from an emotional standpoint. But the
Yeah.
actual story of David and Clarence came from, I guess I should say David, was right after James was born. I got, like a friend showed me this article about this kid's body being found at this park called Stone Run River Park in Alexandria, which was where I lived. And that was a park I went through all the time. Right. And so your first thought as a parent is, oh my God, that could have been my kid.
Right.
It was like an incident of gang violence. And so like, as I'm going through, like at this point in time, the custody situation was getting a bit tumultuous. And so with the, and as a guy, everything that you read is you're kind of screwed.
Yeah.
So like that just brought up that memory. And like, so the cool thing, well, I shouldn't say the cool thing. The interesting thing was, though, is in November of last year, the murderers of that kid were sentenced.
Oh, thank goodness.
So like they had been in court and like they got sentenced. That like and so like this is our little tribute to that. The Embrace in that cover. The Embrace is at Stone Run River Park, looking down into the water, and then you got the ghostly reflections of David and Clarence, and the water looking back up at him.
Oh gosh, feels. It makes you feel the feels, people. It really does.
We try to do that.
Right. Well, ultimately, that's a writer's job, is to make you feel something.
Yeah.
So that was The Embrace. Let's talk about Elysian Fields, because we haven't talked about that one. And that's kind of like your flagship. That's what started everything. But tell us more about the story. Let's dig into that one. And this one has a Kickstarter that's coming.
Yes. So we will be launching this on
the
5th year anniversary of when I did Elysian Fields issue 0.
And that is when?
March 28th, 2025.
Oh my goodness.
Which is very, very like auspicious, because like literally 3 days before that, Hades 2 has its full platform release. So it's like things have lined up.
Nice.
Lots of mythology love going around, and like that's going to be like the right time to launch. So when it comes down to Elysian Fields, the bare bones premise of it is it's Mortal Kombat with heroes of mythology, right? Like you have this tournament that happens in the underworld every 1,000 years, where all the respective gods of the dead put together teams of heroes to fight on their behalf in this tournament.
Do the gods of the dead like place bets with each other? That's funny.
No,
on their own teams, like they don't, or they have to participate.
But it's kind of a high stakes thing, because whoever wins becomes the next Lord of the Underworld for the following 1,000 years. And so the reason why this is important is gods are fueled by divine mana, which is replenished by human prayer through the human soul. So if you are in charge of the underworld, you've got a nuclear reactor of divine mana effectively at your disposal, because the prayers are fueled by the human soul, and that's what fuels divine mana. And so, yeah, it's a whole thing. I'm not like, point is that that's like the basis to allow me to kind of get this thing set up, because the original idea, like it, this all was spawned of when I was growing up. The Iliad was my bedtime story as a little kid, and then when I was growing up, I surrounded myself with nerdy kids that weren't just arguing about what superheroes they thought would win in a fight. It was like, hey, who do you think would win between Achilles and Gilgamesh, or who would win in a wrestling match between Heracles and Beowulf, right? And so I took that, and like I had actually had like multiple different iterations of this throughout the years, but then, as I said, around 4 or 5 years ago, I went and I actually sat down and I put together a comic script, and established this whole Abyssal Tournament of Champions. And so what ends up happening is that you have Achilles dies, and then he goes to he goes down to the underworld, and then he's kind of brought out of peace to come fight in the arena at Hades' behalf, alongside Heracles and Hippolyta in this version. In the original, it was Heracles and Theseus, and I switched it up. But like, for one, I thought that I had more of an interesting story to tell with Hippolyta as a character. And for another, it brought in a girl to the team, which is always nice for marketing.
Interesting. Yes. We'd like to see girls fighting. I do.
No, 100%. And so, like, we have like this whole thing where it's the story kind of starts off and you see Achilles at his last fight in Troy, and then it transitions to the underworld and him getting to the arena, and like it's a very exciting book. And with the new art team that we have, people aren't ready. Like the art is gorgeous, and that's why we have the preview of this available on the Embrace 2. You can get it, as I said, for $10, and it's literally like that will be shipping before anything else does.
Yeah,
because it's done. Like once the funds are distributed and everything, I will go and put in the print order, and then those things are going to get sent out like immediately.
Here's the link to this one we're looking at right now, everybody. It's in the chat, so you can sign up to be notified upon launch for this one. Looks
yep,
like
and we have some really exciting variants coming in on this one.
I'm excited.
We have our main cover, but we have 3 other variants that are complete or near to completion, by a whole different array of talent. We have some really big names on this. I'm very excited about it.
How many pages are you planning for the full story?
So the first book is 44 pages.
Oh my gosh.
And so the other big thing is that we're also ditching the traditional comic format. We're doing 8.5 by 11 prestige format.
Why? You are crazy. I didn't realize it was that size.
Yeah, man. Like, look at this.
It's I when you're seeing it on a video, I was like, that's gorgeous. Like I'm digging it.
It gives the art room to breathe on the page.
Yeah.
And like it's perfect for this, battle style tournament book. I mean, just look at this.
It is pretty.
So
I was like, it's giant though.
it's big, and like that's what we want. Is we want people to have a good time with it. And like they're going to be gorgeous pieces. Like, people are not ready for how beautiful this book's going to be, and it's been awesome working. We've got Will Juarez is doing our pencil art. We've got Tiago Gomez doing our inks, and I don't even know if up and comer is the right word, because he's done a lot of work, but this guy Ruvian is doing our colors. And they work so incredible together, and there's so much enthusiasm in the project because all of them are huge mythology fans. So like the moment I start talking about like where the series is looking to go from in the future and stuff like that, all of them go freaking nuts. Because like that's the fun part about this is it's, you know, it's a who's who of classical mythology from all over the world coming together and fighting one another. So like,
Fun.
you know, some names that have been thrown around for like future stuff is like a, you know, Cain from, you know, the Bible, you know, freaking Sun Wukong, Lu Bu, Dian Wei, Imhotep. Like
so anybody's mythology, every culture's mythology,
everyone, because like that's the whole thing is they are fighting against these people to get Hades to win, and Hades has his obviously has his motivations to do it, but like Achilles kind of just gets, I don't want to say hoodwinked, but like he is promised that, you know, whatever he wants, if they win this tournament, he gets whatever he wants out of it. And like there is a part, like one of the cool things that we're doing with Achilles is there's a part of him that, you know, like when it all starts, it's very much, oh well, I want to kind of be at peace with Patroclus and this, that, the other. But as the story progresses, the big question is going to be, is that really the choice that he's going to go with? Because he's fighting this tournament against people that are actually a challenge. You know, when you read the Iliad and everything like that, Achilles is peerless on that battlefield. There's no one that can touch him.
Until you get to other gods.
Like I mean, he duels the Scamander to a draw, and that's like a river deity. But like in terms of human heroes, like, you know, Nestor has a whole speech in the Iliad about how like this age of heroes is weaker than the previous age. Like even Achilles would barely be able to hold a candle to Jason, right? Like and so you're getting Achilles is fighting people like Gilgamesh and Enkidu, right? Like he arrives in the arena, and Hippolyta and Heracles in this version, they're fighting Gilgamesh and Enkidu. And so he walks in, and that's who he starts against. And it's just going to get way more insane.
That's awesome.
So it's like, this is a guy that lived for the fight and lived for glory in his life. Is he really going to want peace when he's been doing battle with all of these freaking people? He thinks that he wants it. He thinks that that's absolutely what he wants. And there's a part of him that's absolutely accurate. But the question is that, is he going to be able to hold on to that? Or is he going to succumb to his old demons and just become obsessed
with winning the tournament? That's
fighting
where
all
I put my money.
Fighting all of these people.
Matthew.
Because like he's in a tournament.
Yeah,
he's not going to be fighting everyone, but he's going to get to see the caliber of warrior that's out there. And the question is that if he's even going to want to stop.
Yeah, I would think for someone who walked that path during their life, this is kind of that's what he wants. That's his stomping ground. That's what I mean, it's like when you're an MMA fighter, you just want to watch MMA fights kind of thing.
Well, like I think that the interesting thing is that we have this version of Achilles that like the way that I write him, at least at the beginning of the story, when he first gets to the arena, I have his mindset very similar to the version of Achilles you see in the Odyssey, where Achilles is dead and he's in the underworld and he's talking about how like all these people hail him as this great warrior, but like he would give anything for more time to be with the people he cared about.
Yeah.
And so like that plays a huge role. Is like, is he going to stay that person that wants peace, or is he going to succumb to the demon that fueled him in life? And that's really what is going to be at like the heart of the Elysian Fields story, is what is he going to choose? Like,
I have my thoughts.
yes,
We'll have to read to find out. That's one of those things.
yeah, and like this is the first issue of many. Like this
right,
is
I was gonna say, I was like, that is the first. You said the first book is 44 pages. So how many books do you have planned?
This is one where if it does well, I could keep it going for a while.
Yeah.
Like
102.
Yeah, like you're talking about. So when I initially did the story, I had the first book, I had Elysian Fields issue 0, and then Pyramid Gambit.
Okay. Pyramid
Gambit is now, to me, where like the climax of Elysian Fields needs to be. Like this is where you hit, like, establish what needs to happen for the falling action and towards it. So like that's gonna be like the halfway point. We're gonna have way more, but like I don't expect to get to the Pyramid Gambit story for at least 4 or 5 more books.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
Because like I've got to do this book with like we've got this book, and then there's the resolution to the fight with Gilgamesh, which I'm going to be expanding way out, and we're going to get I have like a really cool idea of how I'm starting to work on the new second issue, and like I have this really cool idea of how like I want to start the book off, and it's kind of, you're getting to know Gilgamesh a bit, because like the first book we start off and you see Achilles's last battle, and so you get to kind of see the kind of man Achilles is. Right? And so I kind of want to do the same thing structure wise in book 2 with Gilgamesh, because that book, like at the end of the first book, you've got Gilgamesh and Achilles are at full throttle war with one another. Like Achilles despises him at the end of the first, because Gilgamesh is talking a lot of shit, and like Achilles is defined by pride and rage, and so having this guy kind of patronize and talk down to him makes him feel a certain way, and Gilgamesh reminds him a lot of Agamemnon, and so he's just like, I
don't like you. Yeah, we're gonna cross swords. We're gonna have words.
So they're very much but like Gilgamesh is this kind of perfect character for Elysian Fields, because I mean, you look at what the Epic of Gilgamesh is about in its totality, and that is, how does a mortal man overcome death? Right? Like that's ultimately the point, and the way that Gilgamesh does it, and it's never said in the book or what have you, but this is where it's like the beauty of it is, the Epic of Gilgamesh is the only mythology from that period that has been retained in its entirety. That's how he lived. We have nothing to contradict it. It's absolutely, we know that Gilgamesh was more than likely a real king of Uruk. We have no idea what his life was actually like outside of that story. And so that man lives eternally through those words. And so it is this kind of perfect thing. And both him and Achilles are so freaking similar as characters. And so and they're almost foils of one another, right? Because Achilles went to Troy knowing that he was going to die. He was told, like, if you go to Troy, you are going to be remembered more than anyone else in the world, but you're going to die young.
You're going to die there. Yeah.
If you don't, you get to live a long and healthy life, but you get forgotten.
No one will know your name. Yeah.
Gilgamesh becomes obsessed with trying to cheat death. So they're almost these perfect foils of one another. But they also have so many personality deficiencies in common, where like, you know,
Yes.
when you first meet Gilgamesh in the Epic of Gilgamesh, he's described as a tyrant. Like the gods actively send Enkidu down to knock him down a peg. And so it's like, it's one of these things where they have these really interesting similarities, and I really am excited to kind of explore that and push that through the issue. And, you know, part of, as I said, like part of this series is going to be, you know, Achilles kind of going through this tournament and kind of coming into direct conflict of like who he is as a person. Because like, you know, when he first gets to this tournament, he's very much like, I don't want to be here. I just want to go back into my peaceful little hovel that I was in.
Mm-hmm.
But as this thing goes on, there's a genuine question to be asked of, do you really want to go back to what it was before? And, you know, the other fun little tidbit is Achilles doesn't know this, but he can't go back
Uh-oh.
because he was never in paradise to begin with.
Oh. Surprise! So he's screwed.
And this is actually why I have. So if you look at the preview cover,
Yeah.
it's a wraparound, and this is the scene from the Iliad where Achilles drags Hector's body around the city of Troy.
Yeah.
There we go. So like this moment plays a role of significance because that moment barred him from the Elysian Fields.
Did he not realize that was a bad idea?
Well, he was consumed with rage. He didn't care.
No. So no.
But like what you end up finding out here in this first book is that Thetis, his mother, made a plea to Hades to prevent Achilles from being placed in Tartarus. Because if he was placed there, he would become enraged and he'd just tear the whole thing down.
Maybe it's not such a good idea to put him there.
And so what she instead does is she traps Achilles' soul in a memory and stores that memory into a vase and casts it adrift into the river Styx.
Poor Achilles. He has no idea.
Hades in desperation unlocks Achilles from this and has him brought to the arena by Charon, the ferryman. So it's like Achilles can't go back.
But he doesn't know that.
No, he doesn't. He has no idea that he hasn't been in the Elysian Fields. He's just been in like
rude awakening for him.
And so this is something that, you know, he's not going to find out for quite some time in the story. But like you're shown this immediately as the reader. Like when he dies and everything, he's going down to the underworld. We talk about like, you know, like what is Achilles gain from death? Does he finally get, you know, the glory he was seeking? It's like, well, no, he doesn't. Like the end of his life was completely driven by pride and rage, and so he was barred from the Elysian.
Dumb moves.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's like he's not thinking about it. And it's interesting because, you know, at the end of the Iliad, you have this beautiful moment between him and Priam where he does actually like showcase that, you know, the rage that he's been holding on to throughout the entire book that's driven everything that happens in the Iliad was worthless. Because at the end of the day, it didn't bring Patroclus back. It didn't mend the bridges between him and Agamemnon. None of this stuff is truly resolved, and Achilles just feels empty. And so in this moment of self-actualization and remorse, he returns Hector's body to Priam. But like I felt like this was a perfect thing because Apollo protects Hector's body from damage through all of this, because Hector was a pinnacle of devout followership. He was always good to the gods. He had made his offerings, and he was a brave warrior, and he deserved better. And none of the other gods would admit it, because they were all just kind of in this awkward state of, well, I mean, that would mean I'd have to admit you're right and I'm wrong, and I'm not going to do that because I'm a petty Olympian.
Right.
So, but for me, this is the moment that it's yeah, all right. The moment he did this, because it's not even just, I'm not sure how familiar you are with the Iliad or what happens in there, but when he dragging Hector's body around the city is just the beginning. He sticks his dogs on him, hangs him upside down outside of his tent. It's a whole thing.
Gross.
Because he is furious. And part of that fury is against himself. And that's also something we'll be exploring in Elysian Fields as it gets much further down the line, is part of the reason why Achilles does all of this shitty stuff to Hector's body is the real person that is to blame for Patroclus's death is himself, and he refuses to admit it. But yeah.
Goodness. I want to switch gears here, because
Yes.
we've talked about two incredible stories. And we've talked about what your plans are already into 2025. Is there other things that you have planned? Are you going to be doing stuff in the future? You got cons planned, book signings
I've
planned?
got one little small con in October that I'm doing. It's like a comic book store lot convention.
Okay.
On Halloween weekend. But this past year, I wasn't able to do shows because I was investing in the development of the preview.
Yeah.
And that, and obviously the Embrace 2 as well. So between those two projects, I was just, all right, I can't do anything. But next year, I am planning on doing 3 shows.
Okay.
I don't know which ones yet, but it's one of these things where if I'm going to continue to do this, the big thing I need to start doing is going to conventions, which I haven't really been able to do.
And I was talking with actually George Medina, who was in the chat earlier, about this, where it's it's an investment in time and money, because you have to have product, you have to have stuff to merchandise, you have to have banners, you have to have, stock. And then you have to pay for the table up front, a lot of times months in advance to when you're going. And so you're investing all this time and money. And sometimes you get to these cons and you're stuck in the corner. There's really no guarantee of return on investment, especially if you're driving and you have hotel, lodging.
That's the other big thing.
That's
Is
the
every
hard
single
thing.
one of the conventions I'm going to do, I'm going to make sure they're within driving distance.
Local. Yeah. I try to stay local as well. But I'm always looking for good shows, and I'm terrible at booking them in advance. So it's there's a show I really have my eye on. It's already booked. It's already booked. I don't, and it's so you have to book it really 12 months in advance.
Oh,
100%. And I forget to do it.
Yeah. That's the big part. And these bookings and everything, I would say that from what I can tell, most conventions, it's $300 for a table.
Yeah, around
That's
there.
A table. If you, I can't even imagine, because I know people that have 2 or 3 tables that they paid for. I'm Jesus, how? I am just going to be sticking with 1 table for now, because I don't have the stock and everything to warrant 3 or 4 tables. But
yeah. And I find it's easier for artists to kind of recap their funds, because they can do table commissions.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And they're selling original art.
that's the other thing that kills us as writers is like we'll be there and people will be like, oh man, this looks really cool. And they're like, yeah, man, thanks so much. And then you start talking to them about it. It goes, so you did the art on all this? And I was like, no, I'm the writer and creator. And they're like, oh, okay. And then they set
Thanks
the book down
anyways.
and move on.
Put it down.
Cool. It's not like I didn't, come up with everything there.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, I usually introduce myself as a local author. And usually if you say local author, it tends to garner some kind of empathy from them. So I try to do that. I'm like, hey, I'm a local author. And then one, I'm not the artist. Sometimes they do ask like, oh, so you draw and write? And I was like, no, I pay someone much more talented than myself to draw these things.
It's like, look, I draw, but like I am no sequential artist. Like,
hey, Katie,
I can't even.
Good morning. Yeah, it's like if I could do this, it would be something else. But I would never trust myself to draw my own series. I would just be nitpicking it to death. I already do that with the script.
It always kills me because like whenever I send art progress to like friends that I haven't seen in a hot minute, and I'm sending them like progress on like pages and everything just to like, because I'm geeking out, how it goes. And they'll be like, oh man, did you draw this? And I'm like, look guys, I am flattered that you think I could do this, but if I could draw like this, I wouldn't I wouldn't have my day job. Like
right. I would just be making my comic and selling it. Nah.
Like I would literally just be making the books and then taking commissions. But I can't draw like this.
Nah, not that we're making light of an artist.
Oh no, not at all.
We go through challenges and stuff too, man.
No, 100%.
Working artists that just do art, it's so difficult to find consistent, trustworthy people.
There's so many shady people out there.
There is,
and I mean, like it goes both ways. Like
both ways. We both,
I've definitely seen some artists ghost people. In fact, I actually had my first incident here this year where I paid a guy. I sent the guy like the money to do a character turnaround, and he just stopped talking to me. Like, would not answer anything that I sent him or anything like that. So, like, luckily it was PayPal that I sent him the thing through, and I went and I was like, I never received the product. I'd like my money back.
Mm-hmm.
It had been like 3 weeks. I hadn't heard from the guy. So, like, I was able to get my funds back. But, like, that was crazy to me. It had never happened to me before.
Yeah, it happens. I mean, there's a lot of horror stories out there that go both ways, but as writers, it's like it's hard to invest into one artist and they get 50% done with something like an issue that's 24 pages, they do 12, and then something happens and it's like, well, what do I do with the first 12 pages? If you're lucky, you can hire someone to emulate the same style, but switching style in the middle of a comic book is
a death kiss.
It's a death kiss. Yeah. No one will be coming back for the next one. So you eat the cost and you start over. And I've done that. I've done it. So
I have fortunately not had to do that yet. I guess I kind of did. We had a short story that we were doing and the artist just became too busy and we already had like 3 pages paid for. So it's like, all right, well, I guess we have to completely redo those 3 pages. So that's fun.
At least it was only that many, but still.
Yeah.
Ouch.
Like it's still just one of those things that's $300. I'm not getting back.
Yeah, that you could have spent on a table to go to a Comic-Con. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
So, it is what it is. So do you have next year planned out? Like, do you have more
not
books
yet?
There?
Like I'm going to start planning my next year here probably around November timeframe.
Yeah.
Because I'm going to be doing, like, I'm probably going to do Fairfax Comic-Con, which was this past weekend. I think is like the perfect scale event for me. I think that I would be competitive with the people that are there. And the way that that convention hall is set up it wouldn't really matter where my booth was.
Yeah.
It would literally, like, because of how it's set up, everything is kind of centralized. And so long as I'm being outgoing and talking to people and, you know, ringing them over to the table and what have you, I should be fine. Right. Like I've been kind of doing some scouting of conventions here over the past year. So like anything that's going to be taking place at like Dulles Expo Center, I'll probably sign up for.
Gotcha. Yeah, and I see that. I gotta pick George Medina's brain more. That's something that I was interested in, because a lot of times he will talk about how he goes to cons without a table, but he'll take like things with him, and I've seen him sell things to people without a table, and I'm like, how are you doing this? Like, how do you just approach?
That's got to be tricky, because like I'm sure that that's technically not kosher.
I don't know if that's the thing. Is it not allowed? Is he just handing out? Is it freebies? Because I don't know
if he's just handing out free stuff, there's no problem with that.
There could be that. So I could have misspoke. I don't necessarily mean that he's selling things. It could just be I'm seeing him take pictures
if he's
giving
just
away
handing out
things.
free stuff. I brought some free things to the convention, like some things to the convention, and handed them out to a couple of people.
Okay.
That's
isn't that
fine,
awkward? Were you just approaching people in the aisleway like, hey, you want a free I guess you want a free comic book?
Nah, because for me, I planned it where it's like the people that I was handing stuff out to, it was like people who were attending the convention that were like, you know, big name artists that I would like to work with. And so
that's different. I am comfortable doing that. Just approach a table, look at the art, see if if it's something that would work well with my stories. Then it's like that's an easy conversation for me to have. But they just I don't know. I'm gonna pick his brain some more, because he has a strategy to it and he does it frequently. So that's maybe something I can do. Plus, you can kind of, like you said, scout out cons and see which ones you want to attend. So that way you're not dishing out $300 a table to make $100.
Well, it's I know a buddy of mine had sent me a thing on one of the conventions, and it was a Dulles Expo Center convention. It was like $75 for a table. I was like, that's not bad.
Yeah, Katie, same thing. I probably misspoke. I don't think George is selling things, so I'm not trying to get him in trouble.
Yeah,
I'm seeing him go to cons.
Maybe outside the event, like if you saw somebody that was dressed up in cosplay for something, but like the big thing is the reason why you are paying for that table is you are effectively paying for license to sell.
Right at that occasion. You
have effectively purchased a table to set up as your merchant. As a merchant vendor location, and then your sales are approved there. You're not just like loitering and doing unsolicited sales.
I want to go to a con with just a trench coat, just be like, hey,
hey there,
you want a free comic?
You want a comic?
That's my new marketing technique right there.
Oh, 100%. You gotta make it like you gotta like deepen your voice as much as you can. Put on a big
mustache.
Like, there, kid.
Have like merch up my arms, like bracelets.
Take one of these. Take one of these slap wristbands.
Yeah, there you go. It says POTPR on it. Yeah. Free, everybody.
Jesus.
I gotta buy a trench coat. Amazon. Here we go. There might be some consequences for that.
Consequences.
There's probably consequences for that, so I don't recommend doing that. Please don't come for me. If you get arrested with the trench coat, it was totally a joke.
Well, I was told that this was a viable strategy on Laurie's stream here the other day.
Oh yeah, totally. It's Laurie's fault. I would get it. Laurie, you would be like, oh, I would look like Inspector Gadget. Inspector Comics. They would kick me out for sure, Lou. That would definitely happen. So we're at the point in the show, Michael, where it is your turn to tell us where to follow you on socials. I dropped links in the show for everybody, and they're also in the description. So if anybody wants to check out The Embrace too, anybody wants to sign up for a notification for launch for Elysium Fields, you can do that. it's all there. So tell us your socials, what you're up to, where we can follow you, all that good stuff.
So you can find me on Facebook. You can obviously Michael Oden, I come up there. We also have the Nine Realms comic Facebook page. So if you look up Nine Realms Publishing on Facebook, will come up. On Instagram, it's at 9RP Comics. I saw someone in the chat earlier saying that they wanted to do like a fan pinup of The Embrace.
That was Marcelo.
Was asking for a character model. Please feel free to hit me up on Instagram. I'll gladly send you a character reference, so that way you could take a swing at drawing him. It's always really cool to see people drawing the character.
Yeah, Marcelo is a great artist. He is doing the interiors for Psycho Sal currently. So
yeah, that's awesome.
Does great work. So that would be awesome. I would love to see that.
And then for Twitter, it's at @ElysianFields_0. I really try not to be on Twitter much anymore because it's like it's a toxic waste bin. I don't like it. But yeah,
it is what it is. I'm there as well. I usually am in there dropping links and supporting other friends of mine, and then I just mind my own business.
I'm there because I have like a solid enough audience, and so I'll like post promotional stuff. But like I have just gotten to a point where I try very, very hard not to interact with people on Twitter.
Yeah.
Like every now and again I get drawn in, and it's like and then all of a sudden it's like I've spent 2.5 hours. This is not healthy. And I just leave.
Yeah, time to wrap it up. Speaking of wrapping it up, guys, that is the show for this week. I just want to remind you all what's coming next week. It is the 100th episode for moi. It's not the 100th episode of the Brew. Thank you. But it is the 100th episode where I myself am hosting the Tuesday Morning Brew. So how are we going to celebrate? We're going to have guests, of course, but I'm going to dress up as Pikachu, and we are going to do the slash and smash. Pops calls it something by slice and smash, smash and slice, slice and we're gonna destroy a jackfruit. The poll is up in the Path of the Pale Rider group. If you have not voted yet, please go place your vote. Current winner for the name is Jack the Ripper. And the current weapon of destruction is the two-handed axe. I think at this point there's an over-under on the wooden stool that I use to hold the fruit. I think it might meet its end this time. We are going to put about 25 sparklers in this jackfruit, and we're going to set it ablaze before I chop it to bits. So please make sure you tune. It's going to be a fun time. Make sure you tune in next week at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. If you are not subscribed, make sure you subscribe and hit that bell so you know when we are live and the show pops up for you and we can have a blast. And we're going to blast. What is it? Slash or smash? Something like that. That's what we're going to say it is. I got to build the art for that promo. I'm working on it. And later this week, well, of course, tomorrow I have Anyone World Showcase. I have Nem coming on tomorrow, my good friend, horror buddy. And then later this week, we have Anyone annual virtual con. So I'm going to be streaming Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. You're going to see a lot of me. I'm going to be out there. So please come along and have some fun. We're going to have a blast. So remember, be excellent to each other and kiss your babies. So I'll see you all next week. So bye.
See ya.
Bye. Yeah, I forgot to say, Shout out to Pops Van Zant. Thank you so much for coming on and playing the video for Michael's Indiegogo so we could actually hear what it sounded like. All right, guys, I'm out.
Comic Books for Kids provides comic books to kids in hospitals and cancer centers across the U.S. It's a place where we can all work together to make sure every child has a comic book. 100% of all proceeds go towards the kids. It's about making a difference, and while they're in the hospital, allowing them to fly like a superhero, battle dragons, or rescue teddy bears. We are in every state in the country and now support over 160 hospitals. Every month, we add more.